Greetings and welcome to our show, Fresh Geek Context. It is here we discuss insightful views on a routine bi-weekly basis over the incredibly nerdy things we can't stop talking about. To take you on this dorky ride are your host, Josh.
To infinity and beyond.
Oh my god. And myself, Jay. So why don't you take a seat, sit back, relax. We're here to do all the heavy lifting. It's about to get nerdy. This is episode 14. Your line.
Star Trek. Sorry.
Yes, that's right. That's Star Trek, and today we will be exploring the dark reaches of space.
From a galaxy far, far away.
No, that's Star Wars.
There's a difference?
I'm going to pretend you didn't say that.
Just a little something to rile up those Trekkies.
Anyway, Star Trek, they were the tales of the USS Enterprise and its crew.
That Kirk guy and Spock, right?
Well, yes, among others.
Wasn't Professor Xavier one of them too?
You know, I honestly can't tell if you're serious or joking anymore.
That's the point. Keeps them on their toes.
If you say so. All right, let's get into Star Trek, shall we?
Captain.
Okay, please tell me what you know about Star Trek, or what was the first time, or what was your, I don't know, did you have like a positive moment, or was it a bad moment, or was it a negative? Because I'm getting the impression that you aren't that much into Star Trek, maybe a little bit more into Star Wars than Star Trek, or do you just confuse the two together like people I know?
So that was a joke in the beginning. I just want to put that out there for the people who are actually offended by that, which I'm sure there were a few. But no, I do know the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek. On the scale of which I like more, I guess you would say I like Star Wars more, just because.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Just because I do know
right.
more about that than I do Star Trek. As much as I know about Star Wars, which isn't that much to begin with, I know even less about Star Trek.
Okay.
I know about the show. I know about the movies. I know about. I think there was like an animated short or an animated series rather about it. I never saw it, but I know there was one.
You didn't want to see it.
It was bad.
It's forgettable. I mean, I didn't really have an attachment to it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I've never seen it, so I don't know. And then
Don't worry about
the most I know about Star Trek are probably memes, as well as I've seen like when other movies like either A make fun of it or B have like weird clips in it, like Bill and Ted, the second movie, when they do that little, I guess that little scene where Kirk is going up a mountain, a famous mountain or something. I don't know what episode or what that was, but they do like a little spoof of that. And then the only other thing I really know about Star Trek are the new movies, so the new trilogy. That's what made me kind of like it a lot more, because it was advertised as, hey, this isn't the Star Trek, of old. This is like completely brand new. And what they were supposed to do was get people who weren't into Star Trek into it. And while it didn't,
like you,
like me, yeah, exactly. While it didn't pull me completely into the universe, because even though I've seen all three of them, I'm not gonna go searching for more Star Trek stuff. But if things happen to come up that are Star Trek, like the new show that's coming out, I might give it a shot. But that's my experience with it so far.
But the show was created. I mean, not the show. The movies, specifically the ones that J.J. Abrams, the wonderful J.J., the prolific J.J., the visionary J.J. Abrams.
Yes.
He was making this movie for you, and like I feel like that's a softball. Like you should be able to like catch it and be like, oh yeah, this is totally dissectable, or however which way you want to put it. That's right. No,
I mean, yeah. Listen, I watched all three of them. Right. I watched the first one and the second one in theaters. I didn't have a chance to catch the third in theaters just because there were a bunch of other movies that came out that I wanted to see instead. Sorry.
Priorities.
Priorities, exactly. But I did watch the third one before this episode.
Good for you.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all three of them. I own the first two on on iTunes, and I'm going to be buying the third one on iTunes as well. So I'll have the three of them, and I
Yeah.
can go back and watch them. And then guess what? Hey, I own the 3 Star Trek movies on iTunes. I don't own any of the Star Wars movies on iTunes, so that's a plus, I guess. I don't know.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You don't own any Star Wars movies on iTunes?
No, because I wanted to buy the pack that has all 6 of them, but it's like $100, and I'm like, I don't feel like spending that much money right now.
You need to learn how to look for deals. I'm
Uh,
just gonna say that now.
that's a whole nother podcast. But what about you? What was
That's a
your?
whole.
Because I think you're a bigger fan than I am, aren't you?
I mean, I would say I'm a bigger fan than you, but I don't know if I consider myself a Trekkie. I consider myself more of a Star Wars fan than a Trekkie. My brother and I always had this discussion growing up. He was more of a Trekkie. He was like really into Star Trek, and I'm like, this is kind of boring. Not for nothing. Um, and he used to talk about like the original series. And my brother's, older than me, but he was able to kind of go back and watch it, or he had friends who were also Trekkies, and he went back and he watched them. He always used to tell me about it. I'm like, I don't really think this is something I would ever enjoy watching. But to their credit, they brought it back with the second generation, which is known as the quote unquote the next generation. And that's where we are introduced to the brand new captain. The first captain was Captain Kirk, otherwise known as William Shatner, and his crew like Spock and Scotty and
Sulu,
Bones
Uhura.
and Sulu and Uhura, like all of these guys that you know now very
Yeah.
well through the new movies.
Yeah.
Like I knew them and I thought they were okay, but it wasn't like something I longed for.
Sure.
But then the next generation came out, and I didn't watch the whole series, but I do remember watching it and enjoying it. That's when they introduced a new captain, probably one of my favorite captains, which is Jean-Luc Picard.
Mm-hmm.
And he's played by Patrick Stewart. That was the first time I ever knew of him. He was a thespian, and a right good one at that. And we were introduced to Riker, who I also like to refer to as the ladies' man. There was Deanna Troy, who is the empath, I think, if I'm saying that correctly. I apologize to everyone who's listening out there, because my Star Trek knowledge and trivia is decent, but sometimes I make mistakes. So, Whoopi Goldberg was in that show.
Oh, was she?
Whoopi Goldberg she was in that show.
Was she a regular?
Semi-regular. Whoopi Goldberg works a lot in Hollywood, so she's like everywhere.
Definitely.
But we also had Geordie LaForge. We also had Data. We also had Worf, the Klingon. There's a lot of excellent characters that are in there that are memorable. Let's just put it that way. Beverly Crusher was another one.
Did you say LeVar Burton's character? I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I did. That's Geordie LaForge.
Oh, there we go.
He's the blind one.
Yeah.
Which I always found strange, because I remember watching that as a kid. I was like, if this is so futuristic, why is he blind? Like, I never.
Shouldn't have they cured this by now?
I mean, I'm sure there was a reason, and if I were talking to my brother, he would say like, "Oh, there was a reason why his eyeballs couldn't work." I'm like, "But just put new eyeballs in his face. Like, that's just what you do." But in any case,
hey, that visor's pretty dope, though. I will say
the visor is great, and it had a lot of cool, nifty tips and tricks.
Yep.
But that show was great, and then the show went on to create another series, and that's when they changed networks. Because before it used to be, originally it was on CBS. The Next Generation was on the original WPIX, and I'm saying I lived in New York, so I'm remembering the networks where I saw them. That's all I can say.
Sure.
After that, it went to, maybe it was continuing on WPIX, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The third one was Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and that's when they introduced Commander Sisko. That's when they introduced Odo, who was the security. And that was a strange show, too, because that was the first show that you saw where it wasn't in a ship and they weren't voyaging somewhere. This was a ship that was pretty much a space station. And they were responsible for keeping the peace and maintaining it under Federation control. And it was just hub where people were kind of coming and going, and it changed the dynamics of the show. But Benjamin Sisko, man, I don't know if you've ever watched the show, Josh, but that's
I've
a
heard of the name Deep Space Nine, but that name of Cisco, the only Cisco I know of is from The Flash, so that'd be a
yes,
no. Oh, and also Cisco
and
networks in real life, but that's about it.
oh yeah, and there's also Cisco from the Thong Song. There's always that.
That is true. There's that one as well.
Yeah,
You're not wrong.
yeah. So, but we're not going to talk about that.
No, that's another
But
podcast.
there's hundreds of episodes, honestly, Josh. There's hundreds of episodes, so you can watch either one and not really need the previous series in order for you to enjoy the next one.
Sure.
I feel like you could watch the Next Generation today and enjoy it, even
Okay.
though it feels a little dated. But they're all good, you know. And after Deep Space Nine, there was Voyager, and that
I
was
remember that
Captain
one.
Janeway. Yes. And after that one, that was, you know, they got lost in space and they were trying to make their way back home, which was a fairly straightforward idea. You know, they were in an unknown quadrant in space and they were trying to get their way back. And I
Sure.
watched that show and, you know, I enjoyed a lot of the things that they had to offer. Not obviously as much as Deep Space Nine and not as much as The Next Generation. But then after that, it got really weird with Star Trek Enterprise. And they casted Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap.
Hmm.
And that was a show that I remember from the 80s. I don't know if you remember that show, but that show was
I
all
remember
sorts of
Quantum
great.
Leap, yeah.
Quantum Leap was great. And then no more Star Trek for a really long time. And then they stopped making Star Trek movies because now did you ever watch any of the original ones ever?
I remember watching the original one, and then which is the one that Spock died? Was that 2?
So that was
Or was that 3?
yeah, that was 2. That was Star Trek 2. But I can actually I think
So
I
I saw that
remember
one.
if I go let's see if I can go through all of these because it's been a while. I'm going to see if I can test it. There's about 13 movies out.
I've seen
and-
maybe 2.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can remember this. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe you can fact check me over here.
Sure.
Okay? You got your computer up? You
Yeah.
looking? Okay, great.
Let's do this.
So the first one is Star Trek,
Right.
the first Star Trek motion picture, I think it was called. Then it was Star Trek 2, The
Right.
Wrath of Khan, which is like the one that everybody knows.
Right, that's the one that
With
everyone knows,
Rick-
yeah.
With Ricardo Montalban and his big plastic chest, and he's screaming, and he's like,
Right.
it's just ridiculous. Khan! I'm not going to yell.
Gone!
Yeah.
I'm just
we're not
picturing
doing that.
Zachary Quinto right now because that's the one I remember the most.
I just remember that movie because that was the movie that had Chekhov, and apparently Khan put like this slug in his ear that was controlling him or something along those lines,
Mhm.
and the slug came out of his ear, and I felt grossed out ever since. That's my memory of Star Trek 2. And it
Yep.
was Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock,
Right.
because they shipped Spock to this planet for his burial after he died at the end of 2. And then he awakens because he's put on a planet that was breathing new life and it revived Spock or something like that. It sounds corny, I swear.
AKA
but
people were in
it's-
an uproar that they killed him, so they had to bring him back somehow.
I mean, you really can kill Spock. Well, now, whatever. We're not going to get into that now. Then there's
Rest in peace.
Yeah, we're just gonna go. Yes, rest in peace. Obviously, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. I do remember seeing this in theaters because my brother was a nut and he needed to see this movie. That was a cool movie. There was a lot of crazy things. It was time travel, some crazy elements, and that's like I think one of the first times you actually see them on planet Earth in like the futuristic world of Star Trek.
Right.
Because that's where the Federation resides. And then there was Star Trek 5, The Final Frontier, which I remember the title. I vaguely remember the plot, but not enough for me to talk about it here on the show. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm working on my battle. I'm glad I remember the title. The sixth one Oh, I know the sixth one. The sixth one is Undiscovered Country. This one I did see in theaters. And standout memory for me was Kirk is in this ice planet and he's fighting some ice monster. It looked like a big giant yeti, and he kicked him in the knee, and the monster goes down. And he goes, "I didn't even hit him that hard." And like, I think it was like Chekhov or Scotty or Bones says, "You may not know this, but when you kick somebody in, in the groin, that hurts because that's where their sensitive parts are." For him, it's in his kneecap, and I'm like, that's weird.
That's very weird.
That's just weird. I'm not buying it.
Quick question about that though.
Yes.
How do you discover a country in space?
I don't. There was a reason. Again, I'm not 100% a Star Trek fan. I just remember watching them and enjoying them. Like, I'm a casual Star Trek fan. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
But I don't know. I have no idea. I can't remember. I do remember Star Trek Generations. I remember the year that came out. It was 1994. I remember seeing that because that was finally the time they introduced Captain Jean-Luc Picard into the mix of the motion pictures. Picard finally sees Captain Kirk, and then at the end of it, Kirk dies. Mad. Like, because, you watch all these movies and you're like, oh, yeah, oh, well, I'm sorry. But, I mean, I feel like this is common knowledge. This is also 1994. Sorry. If
you haven't seen it by now, you're done.
You're done. The next one, I think, is Contact. I think. I remember that one. That's the one with the Borg. Evil beings that exist, and all they do is assimilate, and they make you like them. Scary lady in that one. But memorable. Star Trek Insurrection was the next one. Or was it Nemesis? Was it Nemesis and Insurrection? I may be wrong. Fact check it for me, please.
Let's see. According to this place, Insurrection is first, and then
Insurrection,
Nemesis, and then Nemesis.
So yes, Insurrection. Another great movie. My memory is not serving me well because I kind of I remember lines and I remember loose plots, but I can't remember. And then it was Nemesis. I don't think I saw Nemesis. I think I might have skipped Nemesis, or I saw half of it or something like that. But then there's a long hiatus. Maybe 6-7 years without it, because Star Trek comes out again in 2009.
Yes, and then that was the reboot with J.J. Abrams and Chris Pine and everything. Yeah, I saw that one.
Yes, you saw that one, and then it was Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yes,
which was great, and
which J.J. Abrams lied forever about Khan not being in it, apparently.
So that was annoying to me, because the reason why it was annoying to me is because we all saw it. Like, they weren't creating anything new. They were clearly in an alternate reality.
Right.
Uhura says it in the Star Trek movie in 2009. Yep. So if it's an alternate reality, you've already set the precedent that every single movie that comes out after that is going to borrow from the lore of Star Trek that came before it.
Right.
So, I'm okay with that, but just don't, smoke and mirrors and snake in the box and wow. I understand that was, what made me, Star Trek Into Darkness made me a little mad. And I wish I had the show to it made me mad because it wasn't a bad movie, but what they were hoping to accomplish was something that took time for them to develop. What they did was they compacted this whole, reveal of who Khan was and, the significance of why he was so, dangerous.
Sure.
And they mushed it into a 2-hour movie. That doesn't hold the same weight as it did in Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. It just doesn't work. It's not the same thing. It's not earned. So that's what bothered me. They were writing this movie to have that moment, but they never earned it. And so that's why it fell apart for me. That's why it bothered me.
I mean, I remember when this came out, and J.J. Abrams and everybody was like, no, it's Khan's not in it, blah blah blah.
Oh,
Um,
we all knew Khan
and
was in it.
then I of course I read rumor sites back then, so even I knew that Khan was going to be in it. And I went to the theater. I'm like, I don't know who Khan is. I don't remember him that well from Star Trek lore or anything. I think he was a big deal. So when I
He's a
went into the
badass.
yeah, so when I went to see the movie, I was just like, oh, okay, so he's supposed to be Khan. Okay, cool, whatever. Like to me, it didn't faze me. I guess.
Like exactly.
I just enjoyed the movie. I thought it was. I still think it's pretty fun. It's an
It's
enjoyable
fun.
ride.
It's absolutely fun. I don't think for a moment that it is not fun. I just I wish I see this with movies nowadays where people are reluctant to really like tell new stories because they don't know what works. And I can understand the success, but you can't be afraid to make new stories.
Right.
Some people do it. And what's funny is that J.J. Abrams is capable of making like new stories.
He
Like
is.
Super 8. Super 8 was great.
I
I
was
love
just
that.
about to say Super 8.
Super 8 was great. Like they took, the decade of the 80s and they really kind of made their own kind of story, and the fact that kids didn't have cell phones and they had to rely on each other,
Right.
and everybody had their strengths and everybody had their weaknesses. He has a great idea, but sometimes, I mean, it's easy. It's certainly easy. And Damon Lindelof, I'm a fan of Damon Lindelof forever because of Lost.
Sure.
You haven't watched Lost, but you need to. I always say this.
Yeah.
Um, but he was responsible for writing that movie, and I'm just like, I want more out of you, Damon. I want more. He's capable of doing like great things.
Right.
Um, he let me down just a little bit in that movie,
Just a little bit.
just a little bit.
Did these all come out in theaters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The original motion picture. I had no desire to see the original one
Sure.
because it was just. It seemed boring. The costumes were all like, or I'm sorry, not the costumes. This will offend some people. The uniforms were different. They were like white, and I was like, not understanding this. Not
Sure.
interested in watching this. But I did, yeah. I remember seeing First Contact because I wanted to know all about that. First Contact, I think they go back in time to when the first scientist discovers the warp drive, which is what allows the Enterprise Federation ships to travel at warp speed and great distances. It's great. I mean, it's wonderful storytelling, and it blends storytelling with science and fantasy. It's great, and it inspires other people to do wonderful things. I love it. I really do. But I know we don't have too much time, but I mean, what did you? I mean, and we can go back into this honestly
Sure.
when we go back, after learning time. But what were your initial thoughts like watching Star Trek? Because Star Trek came out in 2009. You know, we did not meet yet. I did not meet you yet
No, we had not met
because
at
we
that
met,
point yet. We met a
yeah,
few years later.
3 years later.
So I did go see the 2009. I guess we can. It's a reboot, right? Pretty much.
You could
Well,
say that, but most people say it's a continuation, which is like
yeah,
the weird,
because of
like,
timelines and whatnot, right?
yeah, it's.
Anyway, the
I could rip that movie.
2009
I
version.
can. Yeah, go ahead.
The 2009 version, I guess I did see that in theaters. I didn't particularly want to go see it in theaters just because, again, well, I'm not really a Star Trek fan, so I'm not really gonna want to go see it. But there were a bunch of people, a bunch of my friends, that were like, "Hey, let's go watch it. We got nothing better to do tonight." I'm like, "All right, well, that's fine. Let's go watch it." And I actually enjoyed myself. I thought it was really cool. I think it's completely different from the original story. Well, not completely, but like it's definitely not exactly the same. And it
Uh-huh.
was introduced to me different enough where I was like, oh, I can see this kind of being cool. And the way that Chris Pine played Kirk, and Zachary Quinto, who back then I knew him mostly from Heroes as Siler. Um,
I remember him.
yeah, so from him going for so seeing him going from that Siler role over to this role, I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Zoe Saldana. I always love her no matter what. So I was like, all right, I enjoyed the film. I thought all the characters were
Gamora.
cool. Or yeah. I thought Simon
No, I
Pegg was
said
funny.
Gamora.
Huh?
I said Gamora.
Oh, Gamora. Sorry,
The other space epic.
the other space epic. Oh God, the Guardians. Marvel. Stop it. Um, so I enjoyed the film though. Like I really really liked it. It was a cool introduction for somebody like me who's not into Star Trek, to once again kind of try to grab you and bring you into this whole universe, which I think was very well done. Again, it didn't pull me completely, but it's definitely had my interest. It definitely kept me entertained for the 6 hours of all three of these movies that have come out now. And I will probably watch some new Star Trek stuff that it will come out in the future. So not really gonna necessarily go back and watch everything Star Trek because there's a lot. But
don't don't not. I don't think all of them are worth it. Personally, I like personally. If you were to say like I'm gonna go back, which one should I watch? I say skip one, watch two, maybe watch three if you really want closure
sure.
on what happens. Go for that.
So you're saying
Blake,
watch only the movies, not even the series?
I'd the original series that you have with Captain Kirk
Sure.
is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but it might be hard for you to watch it when you're completely out of like you don't understand the characters. You're trying to get into the show, and you're also trying to understand why everything looks so like old and weird and different.
I mean that part I wouldn't mind because I knew this was filmed in the '60s. So I mean I don't think that would like be
Right.
jarring.
So yeah, and there's a lot of things in learning time that I'd like to, obviously, you and I will read together, and then we can discuss it later.
Yeah.
But like, it seems a little campy to me now. I just feel like all things are just not holding up as much as they used to.
I mean that's
And I know
like
it's gonna,
saying the Batman with Adam West was campy. Like of course it was campy.
yeah, but no, so that's different. Like, do you watch the Twilight Zone?
The originals. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen some
Okay.
of them. Yeah.
Okay, those still look amazing. If you look at an Alfred Hitchcock film, it looks wonderful. Because they took themselves seriously and
Mm.
it shows. But there's something dated about Star Trek, the original series anyway. I mean, and then there's the overacting that William Shatner kind of does from time to time. It's not as outlandish as everybody makes it seem, as it seems to be.
Sure.
But it does take you out of like, oh yeah, we're in space and we're traveling. Like you almost have to remind yourself, like, yes, this is a science fiction air quote series.
Right. Okay.
That's all. So, but Next Generation, you should totally freaking watch. Totally enjoy that. You
I'm
will.
pretty sure I've seen some episodes here and there just because of syndication.
Oh
It
yeah.
was probably playing somewhere late night on TV when I had it on or something. I don't know. Because there are some scenes that I remember, but again, mostly mostly the memes I remember, of course.
No, the memes are like Worf, and he's a Klingon. He's from a warrior race, and he's always going to be the guy that because the Klingons are combative people,
Right.
or warrior people, and to have him as part of the Federation just brought like something different. It wasn't the same as having Spock and the Vulcans there, like which the Vulcans always they were confusing to me always. Like these people, they don't feel anything, but sometimes they feel. And he was also he was half human, half.
Right.
So he
I'm
was
like,
always
isn't
in
that why
between
he
these.
felt? Because he was half human. That was the reason in the
But
movie.
like, yes, but Vulcans also have the capacity to feel. And again, I'm sorry,
They just
everyone who's a
repressed that.
Trekkie out there.
That's weird.
Yeah, they like prefer not to, but I'm like, why though?
So
I just
basically, it's like, I got to do this thing. I really don't want to though. So am I a Vulcan?
you can be, and you gotta lift your eyebrow up in intrigue, and you separate
Oh,
your
I got to do the bowl
middle
haircut
finger.
too.
Yeah, I'm not feeling that haircut
I'm not
at
feeling
all.
that. No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not Vulcan. I don't want to be Vulcan.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's something for everybody. So if you decided to go backward, because so I watched the latest movie also, and we'll talk about it again before when we come back from learning time. I don't know how I feel about the sixth one, and I don't know if it's because it's clearly different from well, like whenever a director leaves, and this happens, you and I can talk about this every single time it happens. It's like this is never going to go well.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna say it. I know you're gonna be mad, but it's like
Let's
a
do it.
valid point that I have.
Let's do it.
Brian Singer, he was doing X Men One,
Mm-hmm.
great. Did X Men Two, progress.
Mm-hmm.
X Men Three, and it just all falls apart. Um,
Ratner.
Star Trek is whatever. It's done. Um,
It's
Lord of the
undone, really.
Rings.
But anyway,
It's undone. Yeah, yeah. It's well, not really, because you can still buy it. So clearly not.
it was erased from the timeline. Keep going. Talking about nerdy things.
Talking about nerdy things. Loud shiny things. Anyway, it happened with Lord of the Rings. Like I always have a problem saying his name. Guillermo del Toro
Guillermo.
had, yeah, Guillermo. Sorry, thank you. Me with the quickness. Del Toro had complete control and was doing his thing for The Hobbit. One, no, two, maybe three movies, and then he's like, I'm out. And then Peter Jackson comes in, but you can tell when you're watching the film, it just something doesn't click, something doesn't feel right. And that's because, when you're making a movie, you're writing a book, you're putting your essence, your energy, your soul into that. So when you step out, it looks weird.
Yeah, for sure.
And no one can really embody that unless they get the vision.
Yeah, and you can feel that for many movies, not just those. I mean, in all honesty, when I watch, certain movies that I know, okay, this director did like 1 and 2, or did the first one and then the second one was directed by somebody else. Tonally, you feel it from the way that it's shot, from the way that it looks. You can definitely feel it. So this movie, big franchise, you must know about it. Harry Potter, same thing, right? You have Chris Columbus, who did the first two, and then you have Alfonso, who does the third one, and then everyone knows my feelings about the third one, but you can feel that shift.
Now we do.
Yeah, now you do. But the point I'm trying to make is you feel that shift from director to director, and then again with the fourth one, when Michael takes over, you feel that shift again, and then finally when David Yates takes over, you feel it one more time.
Sure.
Even though they try to keep everything, exactly the same, they have the same actors, they have the same sets, things of that nature, you can feel that it's a different person behind the camera. Which isn't always a bad thing, but you can definitely feel that.
It's not. You know what bothered me the most in Harry Potter, out of all of as much as I love the movies and the books and the atrocities, you know what bothered me the most? Hagrid's house. What
a little
happens? No, it's in episode. What am I talking about? In movie 1 and 2, it's clearly a hut, and in 3, it's the whole location changes.
Yeah, that's weird.
Like the size changes, and I'm like, what is happening to
the location
Hagrid's
of the tree? Always bothered me because in the second movie it was like in a courtyard or something, and then in the third one it's like outside the school. It's like, what? How did they replant it? What's happening?
Yeah.
That one always bothered me.
I'm with you on that. But getting back to where we veered off,
yes,
terribly. I felt when I saw the trailer for Star Trek Beyond. All I remember saying while at work was, "This feels like I'm watching Star Trek the original series back in like the 60s."
Sure.
Because like the set pieces look like corny and unfinished. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. Obviously, J.J. Abrams isn't doing this, so who's the lucky guy that's going to get a shot at the Enterprise? Oh, the director from Fast and Furious. Great, that's all I need to hear.
Justin Lin's done other stuff, but yeah.
And he's not, well, as of late.
That's
what he's most popular for.
Yeah.
And I don't hate the guy. I don't, but it's I'm wondering if that was the best person that you could have chosen.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
Because it's just I did, and I had issues with the movie. I'm just gonna say it now. I had issues with the movie. Um, I enjoyed it, but it was weird because a lot of and a lot of things I don't have any control over. You know, Leonard Nimoy passed away, so
Sure.
they had to address that.
Of course.
And every single time I see Chekhov, on screen, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
There were actually a few shots at the very beginning of the movie where they kind of either A, cut away from him, or B, they kind of like showed just half of his face or something like that. Like they were panning away from him. And I was just like, oh, they're not gonna do that through the whole movie, are they? That would be
no,
horrible.
he's in
And
it.
then he's
Oh,
actually like in scenes later on. I'm like, okay, good. Phew. But at first, I was very scared for a moment that that's what they were going to do, and I was just like, But yeah,
did they finished filming though? Didn't they?
they did. They did.
Or
Yeah.
did he die during production?
I think it was post production.
Okay.
So he was already
Because
done
that's the
filming.
same thing that happened to. That's a great. I mean, that's something I'd like to see if we can talk about. Like, what happens to actors after they pass away,
Sure.
before, during, or after production? Because
Hmm.
it's like it's kind of messy, and
It's very
the
very messy.
the technology that they use throughout the years, from then till now, changes drastically. And then there's the ethical questions that you have to ask yourself, like, do we do this?
Right.
Do you want to do this? Because like everyone's saying that the next Star Trek is going to happen, isn't going to, feature Chekhov because you can't replace him. And I'm like, yes, you can. You can
can.
replace him. Just
Yeah.
just be smart about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have to, like Doctor Who. Doctor Who has been doing this for how many years? How many decades?
That's
You just cast new
That's a little bit different though, because
I'm just giving you that as an example.
I know,
I
but
know what you're saying.
that specifically is a little bit different though. I will say.
Okay. Well,
I actually know more about Doctor Who than I know Star Trek.
you're gonna have to school me on that one day, or maybe for an episode we'll talk about Doctor Who. 'Cause
Maybe.
I'm dying to see it, but I have not seen any of the newer episodes.
It's pretty great.
Okay, so we are going to go to break. So we'll be back after some break music, and when we come back, we're going to go through the origins of Star Trek, and then we're going to talk a little bit more about the modern movies, a little bit more in depth than what we were doing right now, as well as to what to expect from the new Star Trek series called Star Trek Discovery and what it means for the franchise moving forward.
Exciting things for fans to look forward to.
Yeah, right. So, Josh, I think we have music, please.
Yeah, sure. I've got nothing witty to say this time around. Just play the music.
I play the music.
Yeah, you do it. I'm not doing this anymore.
Okay, I'm pressing the play button.
You have a play button?
I do now. Welcome back, everyone. We are your captain and first officer of the USS FGC podcast.
That's a weird ship name.
I had to come up with one on the spot. Just go with it, okay?
Fine. But I'm the captain, all right?
Okay. If it makes you feel better, then we'll call you the
No,
captain.
no. Look at me. Look at me.
What?
I am the captain now.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't see that one coming. Okay, if it makes you feel better, then you're the captain, okay?
I just want to sit in the chair, that's all.
And it does look pretty comfortable.
Alas, but now it's time.
For some learning time?
Yes, first officer.
All right, let's do it.
Beam us to learning time, Scotty.
but my name is Jace, though. In this episode of Learning Time, we talk about the origin and history of Star Trek. Star Trek was originally introduced to the world in 1966 from creator Gene Roddenberry and is responsible for bridging the gap of science and fantasy and bringing into mainstream pop culture.
Space, the final frontier, or the 60s.
Roddenberry presented a brief treatment for a proposed Star Trek TV series to Desilu Productions comparing to a Western in space. Desilu worked with Roddenberry to develop the treatment into a script, which was then pitched to NBC.
NBC rejected the original pilot, but the executives were still impressed with the concept and made the unusual decision to commission a second pilot. The first episode then aired on September 8th, 1966.
While the show initially enjoyed high ratings, the average rating of the show at the end of its first season dropped significantly, so much so that NBC was going to cancel the show after its second season. The power of fan petitioning kept it alive for another season until the show was ultimately canceled after the end of its third season.
After cancellation, the series was purchased by Paramount Studios and licensed it for syndication, where it grabbed a much bigger audience than the first airing. One of the ways the series grew was in 1972, when the first Star Trek convention, where only a few hundred people were expected to attend, when thousands showed up instead.
Paramount and Roddenberry then tried to create a new series. However, with the success of science fiction films such as Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Paramount took the pilot and created Star Trek, the motion picture. The film was met with a mixed reaction, but it was enough for Paramount to warrant a sequel. With Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, the franchise became even more popular. Paramount then produced 6 more Star Trek films with the original cast after that.
The series went back to its television roots with The Next Generation in 1987.
Woo!
The series has the highest ratings of any Star Trek series and became the #1 syndicated show in the last few years of its 7-season run.
Following Star Trek the Motion Picture, Roddenberry's role was changed from producer to creative consultant with minimal input to the films while being heavily involved with the creation of Star Trek The Next Generation. Roddenberry died on October 24, 1991, giving executive producer Rick Berman control of the franchise.
Even after Roddenberry's death, the series continues to thrive on. A reboot to the series was made in 2009 from director J.J. Abrams, and a new series is being developed which will come out in 2017.
Millions of fans, or Trekkies, enjoy the franchise together through annual conventions, books, and other merchandise. It's safe to say that Star Trek will continue to go where no one has gone before. So, want to know something interesting?
Shoot.
You know how either one of us, when we're doing Learning Time, we pretty much virtually know all the content of Learning Time as we're kind of doing it, and the other person's kind of learning as we go along? Yeah. I was actually pleasantly surprised by how much stuff I didn't know.
Aren't you glad we did this subject?
Aren't you glad? Oh, okay. Well, what were your thoughts on the newest movies? Because that's where we go to, right?
Yep.
Okay, so let's start, because it was started in 2009. I feel about it. I mean, I like it. I take that back. I like it. I really do. But I'm just going to let you go, because I'm just going to let you go. Go ahead. Thoughts?
You're not going to give your own opinion on it?
No, I'm not going to give my opinion on it now, because maybe you might actually change my mind, because, that's happened every once in a while.
Sure, definitely. I mean, I enjoyed them. I kind of touched upon it on the first half of the show. I kind of didn't want to see it, but then once I did see it, I ended up enjoying it. I thought it was very fun. It introduced me to the world because I had seen parts of Star Trek. I've seen little things here and there, but I never actually sat down to watch the full thing. So this was really the first time I sat down and I watched a good 2-hour, however long that movie is, of Star Trek, and I enjoyed it. I really, really did. I thought the way that all the characters were written and the way that all the comedy in there and the action in there, I thought it all came together really, really well. And I'm not going to say it made me a huge Star Wars fan or anything like that, but it definitely made me a fan of this trilogy now.
You said Trek. You said Star Wars.
Did I say Wars?
You totally did.
I
You
did
totally
not.
did. Yeah, you did.
Well, there you go.
All right.
See, guys, I apologize. I'm sorry
That's all right.
if I hurt anyone. I bet you someone listening he said wars. Get
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, we
I
need
meant
that hate
Trek.
mail.
We're talking about Trek.
That's okay.
There was actually a little tidbit
Yeah.
behind the scenes when we were writing Learning Time. That little line that says, "With science fiction films such as Close Encounters of the Third Time," I was gonna put Star Wars in there with that as well, but I was like, let me cut that out just in case.
So you're aware it's not the third, it's the third kind, not third time.
I did say third kind.
You said third time.
Oh my god. What time is it? It's late.
Yeah, well, this is the beauty of recording before we actually post. But I can say now that my nerd is showing, so it's
yeah,
totally
your
fine.
nerd is showing a lot. You better put that back.
Never. So, okay, so which one did you like the most out of all of them? I'm curious because if we're gonna do a hyper movie trilogy review, which we can do, right? Which one did you like the most?
Probably the second one.
Really?
Yeah, sorry, just because like I like origin stories. I think origin stories are great, but origin stories are never my favorite of any of them, except for like, I mean, let's say like Iron Man or Spider-Man 1, something like that.
Was it an origin story though?
Kind of, because it's introducing everyone. He's not the captain of the ship till like the end of the movie. Practically
They're reintroducing those characters. They're not introducing anybody.
But it's written almost origin-ish. Yes or no?
Yeah, I guess they broke all the rules. I felt like the only original story that we got was Beyond, or maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm not that much of a geek, but I don't think there was anything borrowed, from previous storylines in Beyond. So I will say I'm mad, and I guess this is spoiler territory. We can talk about these things, right?
I mean, the first and second have been out for a while. The third's been out for almost a year. So
almost a year.
6
That's
months.
right. So here's my gripe with the third one. I really wanted to see, at the very end of it, Kirk is, and his crew have his back against the wall, and then all of a sudden the Federation kind of comes in to save the day, and you would see Picard, like this new, young first officer, save the day. I thought that would have been cool, and I'm like, I'm waiting to see it, and they didn't do it, and I'm like, At least I don't think so. I only saw it once, so I apologize. But I don't think that was ever mentioned. I don't think they made any mention to like the new cast. Are they going to be making another one? Do you know?
I think they are making another one. The last I remember reading is that they were trying to get Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto to sign another contract because they were only contracted for 3.
Of course.
So they were trying to get them to renew their contracts for another one. Chris Pine said, I believe he said that he would do it.
Yeah.
The others I'm not sure about because everybody, almost the entire cast is now included in some big franchise. You got Zoe Saldana in Guardians. You got Chris Pine who's going to be in Wonder Woman. I know Zachary Quinto is doing some stuff. So
he's doing some stuff. Nothing definitive.
Nothing definitive. I don't keep up with Zachary Quinto, so I'm sorry. I thought he was great in Heroes. He's great in this.
I was gonna say, like, he was the man in Heroes. He was
awesome in Heroes.
Psycho. Yeah, I love that guy, man. He's great.
He was really good. He's great. I like him as an actor. He's really cool. He seems like a cool dude to hang out with too, when in like interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as for the rest of the trilogy, I enjoyed the first one. I enjoyed the second one. I watched the third one before recording this episode, like I mentioned in the first half. And yeah, I like the 3 of them. If I were to rank them and how much I liked it, I would probably say 2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3? Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
If I had to rank, I'm not saying that like 3's like 3's horrible, 2's so much better. Or
no, they
were
all good. I
just
don't know.
How I'd rank them.
I always ask you these questions, but I never really think about what my answer is going to be. That's a trend. Sure. I gotta stop that. Anyways, I would say I don't know how to rank them, man, honestly, because one was fun for me. I enjoyed watching one. There were some
Right.
opportunities, if I'm going to critique the story, but I enjoyed one. I just don't know, like, it's there was there was a part where Lieutenant Uhura says in the film an alternate reality, and I'm like, oh, you're clearly acknowledging that we're taking the stories of the original and we're just gonna remake them. It's like it almost gave them like a free pass, and
Sure.
that like it's a clever way, but I don't know if that needed to be done. Because at that point, like, who are you making this for? Are you making it for a new audience, or it almost feels like a safe bet? And I like give me like gamble on something for once, like really.
Sure.
And then the second one came out and it was just everyone knew, like instinctively knew that Benedict Cumberbatch was being casted to play Khan. And no, 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 it's not. I'm like, we talked about this before. I
Right.
My major qualm about that was that every character in there felt really rushed. There was an established history and pattern of it, and it was only mentioned by Spock that that Khan was the most dangerous villain that they'd ever known.
Right.
And so, you have these characters that aren't really fleshed out, and you want to get to know them and you want to know their history, but they never really continue it. So I
Sure.
just felt that was cheap. And then it was just a movie that just kept ending. Like it it reminded me heavily of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King,
Oh,
and
where it,
their
like fades out and you think it's ended like three or
30
four times.
endings. 30 endings.
Yeah.
I thought that the movie was going to end when they crashed to Earth, and then it rose, and then they crash landed, and then they rose, and then they keep fighting, and it just seemed to me that it just kept ending, and I'm like, I don't know if you were doing that on purpose, but there is this really cool part that was original and was different. And I watched a commentary for the second movie. And at the beginning where the parents are worrying about their kid who seems really sick with something, some terminal
Yeah.
disease, and the soundtrack's playing in the background. That is the only part that I really enjoyed because that didn't feel like Star Trek. It felt like this humble story, and you never see that part ever again. And
Mm-hmm.
I was annoyed by that because you could dive into that whole story, like what is the father's deal, what is the mother's deal, like that there's this love that this family has together, but Benedict Cumberbatch as Khan is trying to take advantage of them, and all that just
Right.
gets thrown away for I'm going to be Khan, and Spock has to yell Khan. Like it just I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I've just felt
Sure.
throwing you these delicious bones, but there's no meat on them. So,
That's fair.
and then the third one was strange because it felt to me when I was watching that trailer, and we'll put a description. I'm gonna try and remember to put the description in the podcast, but I watched that trailer and it said Justin Lin, and I thought it was so funny because I'm watching, like the set pieces, and Kirk is riding on motorcycles because I guess we're gonna make this movie work somehow.
Sure.
And to me, it kind of felt like, the very few episodes that I remember seeing from the original series. It looked like these set pieces that you saw on a soundstage.
Mm-hmm.
It looked very fake. It looked very fabricated. And I don't know if that was the look that they were going for. Like, I don't know. Well, I don't know if you felt the same thing or if you
I
felt.
mean, I don't. I mean, I kind of agree with you on that front, just because there's this one scene that sticks out in my mind because when I watch that scene,
Uh huh.
I I'm not gonna lie to you, I laughed out loud for a moment
Which one was it?
because of how. So right after Kirk gets, who'd they get? They got Bones and Spock back onto the ship. They're talking about how to get everyone back
Right.
from Idris Elba, awesome by the way. From his character. I forgot the name of his character right now, but anyway, they're making a plan. And then Kirk goes, "Oh, I have an idea for a distraction." And he's looking at the bike. So obviously, he and the girl go on the bike and then they go off. When they jump out and you see Kirk and her riding on the bike, that swooping in shot was horribly done. Like, him on the bike was too smooth. The CG of the shot going in was so out of place. I literally laughed out loud because everything else looked fine. Everything else looked clean.
Right.
But that one shot, I was just like, oh my God, how did they let that one slip by?
So,
because it looked really, really bad.
Can I tell you something? Honestly, this is my opinion. I don't know if my opinion counts for anything here, but
yeah,
I felt like they did that on purpose. Personally,
if they did, fine.
It felt to me as it did it on purpose. Like, everything seemed really, really cheesy, and it looked very different from the first two movies. Now, you could say that's because of the director. The director is different, and we talked about this before when they switched directors for Lord of the Rings. When they switched directors for Ant-Man, was the only one. Ant-Man didn't feel like that movie changed when it switched hands from Edgar Allan Wright to, what was the new director? Yes, that's right, Peyton Reed. I mean, but that is a testament to the Marvel movie making machine. I mean, those guys, doesn't matter who it is. I've always said that you could be a high schooler and you could direct a Marvel movie, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be amazing because they have all the pieces that are there.
I mean, we'll find out with Spider-Man because John Watts is probably one of the most unknown directors that I've heard of so far. That's directing.
Are you kidding me? The first director for Captain America is relatively unknown. Same thing with Thor.
Joe Johnston?
Joe Johnston? What did he do before then?
He did Jurassic Park 3.
You're right, he did. I take that back.
I mean, it's not a well-known movie, but, I mean, he's done stuff.
But still. What about Thor? Who did Thor?
Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, right. I know Kenneth Branagh very well. Not personally, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm just having a flub. I can't remember. Who was another one that was, like, relatively unknown?
That was really it. I mean,
Captain America.
Technically, the Russo brothers.
Right, because they
did TV stuff.
Yeah, Community.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone was like, the guys from Community are doing this? Like, what? And then, lo and behold, that became, like, one of the biggest movies.
Exactly.
Or the best movies, rather.
Best movies, and now they're also doing Avengers. But we digress. Anyways, Always Marvel. Yeah, well, these things happen. Anyways, it felt cheesy to me. The whole third part, just many of the parts seemed cheesy, but it wasn't all of them. It's just like only when they went to the planet that was fine. And Idris Elba, I'm tired of them casting like these really awesome actors and like they don't do anything. Like Star Wars, Star Wars Story, Rogue One. They had Forrest Whitaker in there for like maybe less than 15 minutes, and the man does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. He saves the girl, but you don't actually see it. And then at the end, towards the end of his part, he starts wheezing, and then like he basically went out. He went out to greet the laser beam hello, and then he kisses it. Like he just stop throwing away these awesome actors. If you're gonna throw them away, do something good with them before they have to kick the bucket. Please, 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 please. I mean, Hugo Weaving. Man, I wish Hugo Weaving would come back as the Red Skull. I wish. And I know we're going back to Marvel, but it's so like this. That Marvel has this weird track record of casting really awesome Malekith. Ralph, is it Fiennes or Fiends? I can't remember.
No, that was Christopher Eccleston.
Isn't Ralph Fiennes?
No, Ralph Fiennes was Voldemort.
You're right. It is Christopher. What is wrong with me today? I can't get anything straight. This is what happens when we do late night recordings. Anyways.
This is what happens.
But the man from 28 Days Later, or Doctor Who, does nothing. He does absolutely nothing. I think I remember the majority of that movie was just him staring into the camera. He may have punched a few things.
He might have done that once or twice.
Yes. But Idris Elba, it's such a waste. Did you start watching that show that I talked to you about?
Luther, not yet. I
Josh,
know, I know, I
you
know.
let me down. Okay, so let's not.
I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, when though? I need a hard date from you.
Ooh, that's moving on. Um,
Okay, no, okay, so fine, we'll move on. So I have, okay, so I have something I want to ask you,
yeah.
and
What's
that
up?
is, we're gonna do Star Trek trivia.
We're
Now
gonna do
this
what
is
now?
Star Trek trivia. Now
I
this
was
is
not told
curious.
about this.
Yeah, I know that I had to surprise you because I don't want you to prep for this. So I'm gonna ask a couple of questions.
We have a system here. You need to tell me things.
I decided I made an executive decision to not tell you about this one. So, but
Fine.
this is going to be fun. This is available for everybody who's listening. You can go to pbs.org. You can search for it. We did Star Trek trivia, and this is about 11. Are you searching for the answers? Don't search for the answers. I want your
I'm not
honest.
searching for anything. This is my computer. I can do what I want with it.
Okay, all right. So this is on pbs.org. It's about 11 questions or so. And I think this is all about, I don't know if this is, I think this is just generic, general questions. And the title of it is, well, the top of the page is, how well do you know Star Trek? First
Not
question
well at
is,
all.
no, well, you might know something. You did watch 3 movies and you enjoyed them.
I did. So wait. How are we gonna do this? Are we gonna go like a back and forth type thing? You're gonna ask me everything, or what are we doing?
Well, I have it written down. I have my answers here, so I don't know if you want to, kind of peek, and you can do that. But I mean, I can ask a couple questions. You can, because I know I'm not going to know the answer, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So, okay, so the first one is, and this is multiple choice, just like we did
Okay.
back in high school. Okay, so
Cool.
number one, what is the principle of Starfleet's Prime Directive? I know you've heard this at least once.
Maybe.
Okay, choice A. Diplomacy and nonviolence. B. Non-intervention. C. Providing assistance to those in need. D. Exploration and scientific study. The question is,
Well,
what is the principle of Starfleet's Prime Directive?
well, I know that they go out and explore new spaces.
They totally mentioned this in the movie, by the way, so
Um,
it was part of the plot, well, quote unquote, the plot.
of like the first one, right? Because like when
I'm
he's
not
getting
going to
into
tell you.
Starfleet and all that.
I'm not going to tell you which one. I'm just going to tell you it's in one of the movies, at least in the newest movies, for sure.
Okay. I mean, I would say D, right? Exploration, scientific study.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Wrong. It
Oh, come on.
is.
What?
It is non-intervention.
Great. This is how well this is gonna go.
No, but this is how you learn. Listen, this is how geeks become geeks. You ask trivia questions and you make fun of them, you clown on them, and then you teach
Don't
them.
say the word clown.
Oh, sorry. Sensitive subject. Sensitive subject. By the way, do you know that the director of the new Spider-Man movie did a movie called Clown?
I can't go watch Spider-Man now. What if he puts a clown in there as a cameo?
I mean, it might happen. I wonder what you would. I wonder what you would do.
I mean, I would shield my eyes, and then I would
think
ask
you'd be
whoever I
fine.
watch it with. Probably with you.
I think you would enjoy it too much in order for you to say like, there's so much Spider-Man going on. I'm gonna overlook the bad.
I mean, if
things.
Spider-Man punches a clown, I don't know if I would be able to watch the scene because I'd be happy he's punching one, but
Okay.
then it's like there's a clown there. It's like I don't
Okay.
know what to do.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the paper. I want you to read the second question so it can be fair because I actually don't know the answer.
Does
I
this
don't
have the
think-
answers so I can cheat?
Yeah, just flip it over, and don't look to the
Okay.
third one. Just read the question and just
You're gonna
read
trust
the
me
answer.
to do that?
Don't do it.
Okay. All right. Fine. I won't do it. I promise.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. All right. Question 2. The USS Enterprise,
Yeah.
NCC 1701D, bartender Gunan?
What?
Is that the name? Gunan?
How do you spell it?
Guinan?
Guinan.
Guinan.
I think it's
Bartender
Guinan.
Guinan, played
Yeah.
by Whoopi Goldberg,
Yes.
who requested a part on the series,
Yes.
is a member of what long-lived species?
Oh no.
Oh my god, you're gonna make me read these. Okay.
I don't even know the answer.
Um, A. Hakonin. Hakonian.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. B. Denobulin.
Sure.
Sure. C.
We're bad at this.
Arian. El Arian, I guess. Oh, I know this one. D. Human/Terran.
Terran. No, I'm not saying that's the answer. I just know. What is the first one?
You're gonna make me reread that.
I am. It started with an H.
Hakonian.
Conan.
Haakonian. People are
Second
gonna
one
hate
was-
us.
Look at to screw up Star Trek stuff. I swear I do enjoy it. But I do know Guinan. Denobulin, you said?
Denobulin.
And El
Denobulan.
Okay, and El Orion?
El Orion. EL-AURIN.
I'm gonna say B. Denobulin.
B. Okay, is that your final answer?
That's my final answer. Am I right?
That is wrong. It is El Orion.
Ah, man. I would never have known that. Okay, give me back the paper. Give it to me. Give it.
Okay, here. I didn't look, I swear.
Okay, so...
I totally looked.
So you're getting the easy questions. What is the name of the Klingon homeworld? Konos, This is ridiculous. Klingonia. Anasaron Gorkin. If you don't know this, I'll be mad. It's in the movie. They went to the homeworld.
All right. What was the first one again?
Konos, Klingonia, Anasaron, and Gorkin.
The first one sounds right.
Yes, you got it. Got it.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. Phew.
Here, take it.
All right. All right. Question 4.
Question 4.
Hikaru Sulu held which position for the longest period of time aboard the USS Enterprise? A. Helmsman. B. Chief Engineer. C. Science Officer. D. Communications Officer.
I'm going to say A. Helmsman. He's got to be the helmsman. If he's not the helmsman, I'm going to be upset.
You would be correct.
Thank you. Give me that piece of paper.
It is the helmsman. Okay, here you go.
Okay. Let's see. Number 5. What is the name of the species that compel Captain James T. Kirk and Lieutenant Nyota Uhura to kiss? The first kiss between a white man and a black woman on a scripted U.S. TV show.
Oh, is that a real thing? That's cool.
That is absolutely a real thing. That was like a big deal.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, right?
I didn't know
I wonder if you actually know the answer.
Probably not, but what are my choices?
The choices are A, the Iconians, B, the Plutonians. This is actually kind of funny. C, the Romulans, and D, the Kazan or Kazan. I'm really sorry, guys. Everybody, I am failing all of you Trekkies miserably. My brother's going to be really upset with me.
Sorry.
Iconians, Iconians, Plutonians. I always want to laugh when I say that. The Romulans and Kazon. Kazan.
The only species that I know of from that list is the Romulans, so I'm going to say them.
You're wrong. It is the funny one. It's
what a surprise.
The Plutonians. It sounds so funny. Okay,
it does sound funny.
Just take it back. Take it back.
All right, God, what am I, like 0 for 3 or something?
Are we even keeping count? This is just for educational purposes.
No, I got one right, so I'm good.
You did get
I got
one right. Yes.
I got one. All right, here we go. Which of the following was
Yes.
not a founding species of the United Federation of Planets, a
Oh,
collection of governments based on universal liberty and equality?
yep.
The A. Vulcans,
That's wrong.
B. Andorians,
I have no idea.
C. Uh, Tellarides? Yeah,
How do you,
Tellarides, I guess.
how do you spell it?
Tllarites.
Tellarites? Tellarites.
Tellarites.
I think it's
Tellarites.
Tellarites.
Tellarites. Or D. Betazoids.
I'm gonna go with C. Tellarites. Maybe.
That sounds like Beetleborgs. It's weird.
No. You're a different type of
All right,
dork.
what are you gonna go with?
C. Tellarites. Is it Tellarites? Please, 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 please,
It
please,
is
please.
wrong. It is actually the
Aw.
Beetleborgs, aka the Betazoids.
Oh man, that was my second one. Give me that piece of paper.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Number 7. Number 7. Who was the disgraced scientist who created Lieutenant Commander Data, an android who was ultimately granted rights and privileges equal to those afforded to all humanoid species? This is going to be fun because I have no idea. A. Julian Bashir. B. Noonien Sung. Man, I don't even know these. C. Tolian Saran. D. Mabor Detrell. Jetrel.
This is horrible.
Yeah.
What are these people?
I know maybe 2. Definitely 1, maybe 2. When in doubt, pick C.
Okay. Is Dr. Giraud an answer?
No, Dr. Giraud.
He created androids.
No, but this is fun. We get to bumble over ourselves. This is great. What is? Man, if you get this right, this would be great.
I'm gonna go with C.
No, it is Noonien Sung.
Oh, yay!
This
is horrible. I don't know anything.
No, to be fair, these questions are kind of hard. Like, I don't even know if my brother would know this, honestly. Okay, here, take the paper.
All right, give me. All right, your turn. What was 7 of 9's given first name before she was forcefully assimilated by the cybernetic pseudo-species the Borg?
Oh, I think I know this.
What did I just read? Anyway, choices are
Oh my
Alice,
God.
Anika, Maria, or Deanna.
I think it's. Oh man. It's either A or C. Alice or Maria. It's not D. And it's not. Is it? Shoot. Is it A? It's Alice, isn't it? Is it Alice?
Is that your final answer?
It's my final answer.
It was B. Anika.
No. Okay, so I knew it started with an A. Oh man, this. Give me that.
Well, you got A answer wrong.
I did. Funny.
See what I did there?
Hilarious. Okay.
Thank you.
Number 9. What is the purpose of the Vulcan ritual of Kolinar? A. A purging of emotion. B. The temporary union of 2 minds. C. Sexual release and mating. D. The transfer of one's consciousness into the body of another. This should be easy. I think you should know this. And I'm kind of mad I didn't get this answer.
I mean, they practice no emotion, so I'm assuming A, right?
The purging of emotions? You are correct.
Because I have none.
You are correct. Yeah, you absolutely are correct.
Yeah, I got one. Guys, I'm a Star Trek fan now. I got one right. Let's do this.
I'm actually surprised. I would have gotten that one wrong. Okay, here you go.
What did you think it was?
I'm not going to answer because that's going to make me look silly and stupid.
Was it
Go
C?
ahead. No,
It was totally
no,
C.
I definitely didn't think that. It wasn't. No,
It was totally C.
it was not C. Okay, moving along. Number 10.
All right. Give me that paper.
Go ahead.
All right. What is the name of the alien who killed Lieutenant Tasha Yar, played by Denise Crosby, who chose to leave the Next Generation series after its first season?
Oh, see, I know this episode because I watched it. I really enjoyed this. It was like a big black tar monster.
All right,
I
so
have
was
no
it
idea.
Locutus? Locutus? Locutus. A, that one. B, Armus. C, Nagilium? Nagilum?
I'm gonna say
Or
C. Just
or
let's
D,
look.
Con?
It's not con. It's not con.
It could be Con.
It's not con. Is it C? Is
All
it
right.
C? Is it C? Is it?
Is C your final answer?
It's C. The final answer. Yes.
It was B, Armus.
Oh my god!
You're not very good at this either, I can see.
I'd see. We're both on even playing fields, except for you that keeps getting all the answers right.
I got one right. All right, two. I got two right.
Okay, so do you want to read the last one if you're so right all the time?
Nah. Wait, I'm reading it?
Yes, go for it, because I'm done. Because if you get this one, I'm
Alright.
going to be mad.
Well, if I read it, you're answering.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
All right. What title was given by the Bajorans to Captain Benjamin Sisko, played by Avery Brooks,
I know who that is.
the first African American
Yes.
captain to lead a Star Trek series?
Yes.
Was it A, the Emissary, B, the Prophet, C, the Messiah, or D, the Minister? Oh my God,
Emissary.
answers I can say.
Yes, it's A. It's the emissary. If it's not A, I'm going to flip this table.
Are you sure?
I'm
Positive
sure.
A.
Don't tell me I'm wrong.
You are correct.
Yay! I got one.
You got one. Yay.
Jeez, this is terrible.
That was horrible. I knew nothing.
Well, I mean, you knew two.
I knew two, but I kind of guessed both of them, not going to lie.
I mean, you still guessed better than I did. Okay, so obviously our Star Trek our Star Trek knowledge, everybody is just
It's a little rusty.
it's rusty. Rusty means we knew it and then we got rusty. We never knew it, so we're venturing
It's
into
a
new
little
territory.
not there.
But this is the purpose of FGC podcast. Like, we don't claim to know everything. We enjoy it, and if we like it, then this is what we learn. But you don't have to be in this level of this quiz. Like, I don't know. What do you think, Josh? If we knew all these answers, I don't think we would be relatable.
Probably not.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, but if you give me some X-Men stuff, I might get most of them right. Most of them.
Yeah, we might do that next time. We'll see.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. All right, so we're almost out of time. Before we get out of here, though, let's just briefly talk about the new Star Trek stuff that's coming out. Specifically, the new show that is coming out this year, 2017, called Star Trek Discovery.
Yeah, so I know a little bit about it.
Yeah, I know very little too.
Okay, but it looks interesting. I will say
it looks interesting. So the plot of it, it's supposed to take place about 10 years before the original series.
That's right.
It's following the USS Discovery, in an event that has happened in Star Trek history that's never been explored before. That's kind of their pitch. It's a big event that everyone knows about in Star Trek lore, except me. And they're going to explore that finally in this show. So what are your thoughts about what you've read about it? Are you looking forward to it? Are you not looking forward to it?
I'll tell you, I'm looking forward to it because I'm waiting for Sasha to show up.
Oh, that would be Sequina Martin Green from
Yes.
Walking Dead. Yes,
Yes.
Sasha will be in this show. I think she's the lead, actually.
Is she the lead?
I believe so.
Oh, now I'm totally
Or one
interested.
of the leads.
But I will be honest with you, and this is the geek and the nerd in me that's coming out for the technology bit. So it's appearing on CBS.
Yes.
I did a little bit of research on this. And apparently, and I could be wrong, because who knows, they may change their mind last minute. But is this only for CBS All Access, which is an exclusive paid service?
So they did say that is being developed specifically for CBS All Access. However, they did say it's going to debut on regular CBS television before that.
So,
but yes, afterwards it will be exclusive to that, I believe.
I am immediately not interested. I become less interested.
Sure. I mean, it's a big deal. I mean, you're putting this show, which I'm sure millions of people would want to watch, and you're just like, hey, let's put this popular thing on our service, and then we'll get all of the views, get all these people to pay for it and start watching it. It kind of sucks, especially since it's not like a huge service, like let's say Netflix or Hulu or something like that.
Well,
I'm sure if they
they're
put it on one of those two, it'd be more respectable.
oh, of course.
But because they're putting it on CBS only, they're only their all access thing. Um, it does make it a little bit more closed off in a way. I
I'm
feel.
not. I don't mind it being closed off. I just don't understand why, if I decide to watch Fox or because I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before. I have cut the cord for cable television.
Mm-hmm.
I do not pay for it, so I'm really watching on-demand video services and occasionally live TV from whatever's in the area. But I don't have live television, so I
Same here.
rely on these. So I have the Apple TV. I may have mentioned that at least once or twice, and I have access to certain materials. I have Netflix. I don't have Hulu, although I'm really looking forward to getting it very soon. Um, HBO, is it now? Yeah, HBO Now. I've had a few times, and I was able to kind of blow through a season in a month and just cancel it. So I like that. CBS All Access bothers me tremendously just because of the nature of what it is and how I interact with it. Because CBS All Access is for CBS, obviously, but you're
Sure.
not able to sign in to, let's say, a cable service and watch their content. The only way that you can watch any of their content is if you subscribe. However, it's a free channel, it's a free local channel, virtually nationwide. So I don't know what is it they feel that they are providing that's so special that you can't watch any of their shows at all. That is what I
I
find
mean, I'm not
frustrating.
sure. It's very weird. I know, like you and I, my brother-in-law, he also has cut the cord, pretty much. They don't have cable at all, just internet. And all their shows they watch through Hulu, through Netflix. But they watch The Big Bang Theory a lot. Big Bang Theory, CBS.
Oh yeah,
So,
is that a show that's worth paying for?
well, you should ask my brother-in-law because he does it every year for that. But what he'll do is he'll pay for it. He'll watch Big Bang Theory throughout the season and then cancel it and then kind of go back to it again. So, I mean, at least you have that ability to go ahead, watch what you need to watch, and then cancel it a little bit later.
Okay.
Um, but still, the fact that that they're not partnered with Hulu, which almost everybody else, all the big channels, I feel like pretty much are,
No, they're
except
partnering
for
with
WB
Hulu. Or
now.
at
But
least, wait,
that's a different story.
I heard that we're being partnered with CBS.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, I think they have maybe like one or two shows from CBS, but they don't have that many.
no, no, no. I think
Um,
they made a new partnership. I think it's going to start. I've read this somewhere. I think it was Mac Rumors or one of those, websites because I'm obsessed, as you know, about Apple News and things that are coming from them. So I
sure.
think I remember something along the lines of like CBS was being more willing to open up to other services. So they're not
Sure.
an island on their own because like it seems a little pretentious that a network like CBS you can only
For
access
sure.
any of their things if you're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's silly. It's so silly.
It's a little weird. Yeah.
I would understand HBO. HBO, I get it. Would never contest any of that, but
Right.
CBS,
Because it's HBO.
because it's premium
It's premium
entertainment.
content.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I understand that. Did you see Westworld yet? Did you? You didn't see Westworld yet.
I don't
Of
know.
course you. Missing out, man. That is a
I
good
know.
show.
There's a lot I'm missing out on.
Well, you need
But
to get on
to go
board.
back to Star Trek specifically,
Yes.
um, I'm. This is technically going to be the first time that I can see a new series, or that I'm going to watch a new series of Star Trek. Because when Next Generation was out, obviously I was a child, didn't really watch it. When those other shows like Deep Space Nine and Voyager came out, I didn't really care about it,
Listen, I
so
don't
I
want
didn't
to hear
watch
your
it.
excuses.
Uh, but this is the first time that I can actually watch a new Star Trek show as it comes out. So
Right.
if it happens to not show up on CBS access only, and if it shows up on regular CBS, I might find a way to watch it. So that'd be cool to see.
But
And
is there a but?
if not, I'll read reviews about it and see how it's doing and try to watch it if it's on Netflix eventually or something.
I'm curious. I would love to see how this show is going to play out because the 60s were different from the 70s. The 70s were different from the 80s. The 80s were different from the 90s. And now, this is 2017. The things that were allowed on television in the 60s are very different from what's allowed on television now. So I am curious to see if they're going to bridge that gap. Because there's always that disconnect. Because I remember watching a couple of episodes of Enterprise, which is a similar concept to what they're doing in Discovery. And I couldn't really get on board with that. Even though I like Scott Bakula from Quantum Leap, it seemed weird. And I felt very disconnected from the whole series. Let's put it that way.
That's fair.
But
I mean, we'll see what happens. It's supposed to premiere later this year, so May 2017. Should be coming out on CBS first and then All Access. So maybe when it comes out, we'll find a way to watch it. See what happens, and then we can figure it out from there. But yeah, I think that's it. That's all we got.
That's all we got for this episode.
So is this the final frontier then?
No, I don't think so. I think that's space.
These are the voyages of the FGC podcast and its crew.
No, please don't.
Its mission: to explore new topics.
Just stop.
Stranger things.
No.
Seek out new possibilities.
Jesus, come on.
And boldly go.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll tell you what, if you like what we had to say, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Jace Rockland. And Josh?
I am at JCA90. You can also find us at FGC Podcasts or email us at freshgeekcontext@gmail.com.
You can also visit our website at freshgeekcontext.com for past episodes. And lastly, if you could, please hit that subscribe button for us on iTunes. It goes a long way for us to know that you're listening. You can go to the podcast section or the podcast app on your iPhone or iPad and share with your friends so they can be Fresh Geeks too. All right. Good night, everybody. Live long and prosper.
And boldly go where no one has gone before.
Just cut it. Just cut it. Just cut it.
Did I do it?
Yes.
I did it.
You did it.